This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Matt Allen, and Dave Riccio is off again today. It's all right. It's summertime. We're wrapping up some of our vacations and getting a break. So once again, my right-hand man, Tim Nelson from Virginia Auto Service, has graciously jumped in to carry along. Tim, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Matt. Good morning, listeners. How are you?
They can't answer you, but I'm doing well. And so again, every single Saturday, Bumper to Bumper Radio right here on KTAR. We are here to help you with your car. Regardless of what we're talking about, we'll talk about whatever you want to as it relates to a car. So you're selling one, you're buying one, you don't know if you should fix it. Maybe it's time to replace it because it needs too many repairs or whatever it is. Or you went to the shop and got that list of things that needs to be done, or maybe you're working on your car at home and you just need a tip or two. We can help you with that. So stay tuned in for the hour every Saturday. You can also call into the show at 602-277-5827, 602-277 KTAR. And for those of you that like to text, you can do that if you're shy at 411-923. So today we'll get a little bit of business out of the day. You know, my work husband, I don't know if that sounds right, but, you know, we have our work wife or our work husband. I think Tim's one of my work spouses, I guess, or for working together for 19 years. But my other work spouse, Dave, has ditched me on our anniversary. Today is the 5-year anniversary of Bumper to Bumper Radio. We kicked off this show September 10th of whatever the heck year it was, 2011.
Congratulations,
the
Matt.
crowd goes wild.
The crowd, yeah, right.
Yes, it's a big fly.
we got Bree pumping in the stands. You know, we look out here and we see all the people. It's great. So no, it's really fun. Dave and I have a great time doing the show. We enjoy the feedback from the listeners. We get tons of emails, and it's, you know, it's really satisfying to us when we get an email saying, you know, gosh, you guys really helped me save some money. Or maybe you brought the car into one of, you know, my shop, Virginia Auto Service, or Dave's Tri-City, or one of the bumper-to-bumper shops. As a matter of fact, we got an email about Shadow Mountain Auto Service the other day, talking about how great they were, and the guy had been going there already, and then it was reinforced by him hearing the name on the show here. So we enjoy doing that. We enjoy helping you, and so again, thank you. And Carrie, what's up?
I want to weigh in here, Carrie, your producer, weighing in for the listeners who don't know my voice. I just want to let everybody know that the traditional anniversary gift is wood. The more modern version of that is silver. So we have a special spark plug carved out of wood with a silver tip for you guys.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, maybe it will work. No, I don't think so. But we will take silver donations, all your dimes, quarters, nickels, silver dollars, whatever that, if you have any extras laying around. The wood, maybe we could find something to do with that as well. But so anyway, today we're going to talk a little bit about fluid leaks. I think it's pretty common for someone to go into a repair shop and maybe for an oil change or whatever their other repair is, and maybe they get a phone call, and you get the phone call and you say, you know, Mr. Johnson or whoever it is, Sally, you know, your car's leaking oil. And Tim, what most of the time when you tell someone to have an oil leak, what's the response, or any kind of leak?
Oh, yeah, they'll usually say, well, I didn't see anything on my driveway.
Yeah, don't really see anything. And, you know, I was thinking about this morning. We used to get a lot of people that come in and say, I have a leak. Do we really get people come in that much more really saying there's something leaking from my car?
Not as often, I don't think, as we used to.
Yeah. I don't think so either. But so the question is, so you get this phone call now that says there's a leak. Well, what does that mean? What is a leak? We have to, you know, auto repair is very subjective. What is a leak to one person is not a leak. What something looks like there's 10% remaining might look like 20% to somebody else. That's why, you know, it's just very subjective. It's open to interpretation. So at times we use different scales of leaks, level 1, level 2. You know, level 1 leak might just be something where I call it sweating. Kind of like your glass maybe on a humid day. It's not enough to where it's going to drip on the ground. It's probably accumulating and keeping some some dust or something to stick to it, and that might be something we might want to monitor. That's your level 1. Your level 5 leak is you start the car and it's actively leaking or dripping onto the ground. And then we've got everywhere in the middle. And that's just talking about oil leaks, right?
Oh, yeah. You have so many other different leaks that are possible other than oil leaks with the coolant, the transmission, transfer case. See, we could go on here.
Yeah, I mean, when you have oil, so we have engine oil, transmission oil, or transmission fluid, which traditionally would be a pink color. But now we get people that come in and say, yeah, I got this transmission fluid leak on my car. I got pink underneath it. Well, if you got a Toyota or Volkswagen or Audi, that just might be engine coolant or a GM model. But so you got your oil, transmission, power steering. That can be even a little bit green now, a mineral oil type. You could have power steering fluid could be red, could be brown. Most of the time when they're leaking, though, it's already worn out fluid and it's gone to brown, right? We can have a differential. That's probably a pretty important leak. So now that we've identified this leak, I think the question you want to ask your shop, am I going to see this on the ground or is it dripping? And Tim, if someone asks you, am I going to see this on the ground, sometimes what is the answer? Why aren't people going to see these leaks?
Well, it depends on the leak. I mean, for example, coolant could be something where it evaporates before it even gets to the ground, where you may have a European car with all the shields for the engine underneath it. It might be collected in the shields, or at a power steering leak, you might have it like on a rack and pinion. It may be collected in the boot. So you might have a level 3 or level 4 leak, and you may not see it.
Might not even know it. So that's common. So I think one thing occasionally if you always park in the same spot, back up. When it makes sense, right? You never see where your car's parked because you're always home when your car's parked. So or when your car's there, right? So back the car to the driveway for once in a while, take a look at it. Maybe you park in the same exact parking space at your condo or your apartment. Take a look. You might be surprised, at what you see underneath the car. And what Tim was saying is that all these modern cars have shields underneath them. I mean, you take your European cars for sure, but now all the American cars and trucks have skid plates and stuff. So what happens is a lot of this oil will leak and will accumulate onto those hush panels or protective shields underneath the car. So you may not always see the oil leak. So it's important to have conversations. Sometimes it's such a blatant leak, you can look underneath the car and it's just dripping from stem to stern, and who knows where the leak's coming from, right?
Yeah, because now you had a leak that maybe only leaks when the engine's running, and as you're driving, it just collects all over the bottom of the engine, and it's everywhere, and it looks like everything on the engine's leaking.
Yeah,
and that sometimes happens too.
And then so now we've identified this leak. Now the question is, do we need to fix it? And we haven't even gotten into the engine coolant leaks. We're just talking about the different kinds of oils. So you need to talk to your mechanic. Now, some of these cars, you take a Mini Cooper, the thing doesn't even hold 4 quarts of oil, and they use oil. So, they're using a little bit of oil. Now you got a bit of a leak, and a car that barely has any capacity. That's not as good as maybe say you have a Chevy truck that holds 5 or 6 quarts of oil. You can afford to lose a little bit then if you can't afford to use the repair. But on a car with low capacity, same thing. You take a transfer case; it barely holds 1 quart of fluid. You leak a little bit of that out, your margin of error is much less. So you need to have these conversations with your mechanic, with your service advisor. I know at our shop, Virginia Auto Service, we use digital inspection. So we're going to provide you with a photograph. You can see it right from sitting at your desk at work. You can see what we see with the car. Tim, you talked about some of the other coolant leaks, how it evaporates. Never even see it hit the ground. Now, I can tell you, if you have engine coolant, which could be blue, could be green, could be red. I forgot about that.
Could be orange.
Pink,
I mean, there's so many.
Gold.
Yes.
There are different ones. So you have an engine coolant leak. A lot of times, like Tim said, that might just drip out, but the car's hot. So as that's dripping 1, 2, 3 drips on a 230-degree car parked in the garage, it's going to start to evaporate. But what we see is these called stalactites or icicles of coolant dripping down.
It leaves a trail.
Yeah, it leaves a trail. So you might have this big pink icicle hanging from the bottom of the water pump. Well, you're not seeing that dripping on the ground, but what's the other clue there, Tim, if people are in tune?
Well, you might smell. Yeah, the smell. It's usually a sweet smell. And then people come in all the time and go, I smell something that I haven't smelled before. It's kind of sweet, and I don't know what it is. And a lot of times it's coolant.
It's funny. I can walk out to a car with a customer, and maybe they're walking in the parking lot, and we're talking about an oil change. We need to go look at a tire, or maybe the battery, we do battery tests, and You walk up to the car, like a detective, like dog. I'm a hound dog here. And I think you might have a coolant leak. Sure enough, you open up the hood and there's a crack in the top of the air. It's just a very distinct smell. You can just pick that out at times. So if you have any questions about oil leaks, or maybe you want to talk about one, you got a driveway full of oil, what should you do? There's definitely other things we need to check when we fix oil leaks, and we can talk about that. Coolant leaks, transmission, whatever it is that ails your car today, please give us a call, 602-277-5827, 602-277 KTAR, and if you'd like to text, you can do that at 411-923, and we'll be right back.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and Bumper to Bumper Radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
All righty, welcome back to Bumper Radio. Matt Allen here, your KTAR car guy. Tim Nelson from Virginia Auto Service filling in for Dave Riccio, who I believe is in Kansas seeking out Dorothy, or a class reunion, or
Toto.
Yeah, or Toto, or a class reunion, a good party. I'm sure Dave will find tonight, so I hope he is enjoying himself. You're joining us today on our 5-year anniversary of Bumper to Bumper Radio, so thanks all of you who have supported us over the years and continue to do so. We greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the calls. Enjoy being able to help you. It's working Saturday, but it is still fun to do. So we've been talking about fluid leaks on your car. Maybe it's engine, maybe transmission, coolant. You don't know what it is. Maybe I had a leak one time. I used to work at a Chevron station over in Scottsdale, a Miller and Indian school, Harry Martin Chevron, and get this car coming in. I've got this leak in the back, and this was in the early '90s, so it had it was probably a big Buick or rear-wheel drive GM car, and called the lady up. I said, "Did you forget a bag of groceries in your car maybe like 2 weeks ago?" And she had in the trunk on the right-hand side, the wheel well or fender well there, just a bag of apples, and it had a lettuce and something else, and it was rotten and then dripping out of the car, At first we thought it was the shock. The big chrome bumpers had a shock absorber on them. I'm like, the shock? That's weird. I've never seen a shock leak. And then, it doesn't usually smell like that, though, so it was rotten food. So you can see all kinds of weird stuff with leaks. So we're going to go to the phones, which you can call in if you'd like at 602-277-5827. But we're going to go with Tom in Mesa first. How can we help you today, Tom?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
First, thank you for 5 years of service. Great show.
Thank you.
Question, I have a 92 Ford Ranger. I've had it since 92, so I'm original owner, 180,000 miles. It's a 5-speed, and just recently I've noticed that when I click into reverse, I get a small grinding noise. I replaced the clutch on it about 50,000 miles ago. That's just for a second right before I go in to gear.
You know, that's very similar to a question we had last week about somebody having some grinding gears in first and reverse. And I think what Dave was saying is, you know, there's no synchronizer on first and reverse gear, or first and reverse gear. So I'm sure that this is, I mean, you know the truck very well, so I'm sure that this is not operator error. But one thing that you can do to slow down this problem, which is very likely inside the transmission, when you're going to go to reverse, shift to a forward gear first. Go up first, drop it down to second, and then go over to reverse, and that will get the parts of the transmission slowed down and not twisting around in there as they're doing. You know, I can remember those Rangers. That's the Mazda. I think there was the Mazda relationship around that time, and I believe still continues. We've replaced a fair amount of those manual transmissions. And I think one of the important things is keeping the fluid good on it. So if you haven't changed that fluid in a while, and if I remember right, we were using a lot of synthetic fluids at the time. I believe that transmission just calls for regular automatic transmission fluid, or ATF, but we always put in the synthetic. And probably something going on inside the transmission. If you replace the clutch yourself, maybe you didn't get the pilot bearing lubricated right or something like that, you could have an issue. But likely, I think you're in the infancy of having a problem with the transmission itself. So good luck with that, Tom. You know, and if you're in Mesa, you know, Dave's place, Tri-City Transmission, is not too far. They're right there on the corner of Tempe and
Rio Salado.
Yeah, well, Rio Salado
right
and
Tempe
Smith right there. But what I'm saying is they're Tri-City. It's Tempe, Scottsdale,
Mesa.
There we go. I don't get to Mesa very much, so I forget that sometimes. So that's a good option for you. And, of course, if you don't have a repair shop that you go to and you have questions during the week or you have a problem or a breakdown, bumpertobumperradio.com. So we're going to check out Bill in Tempe, and he's got a 99 Mercedes SLK. Bill, how can we help you today?
Hi, yeah, my question is real simple, I think. I'm not sure, but what I've got is temperature problem. It lights up, you know, saying my temperature is overheating, and what it does is, since it's Mercedes, it goes from 40 to 80 to 120, and about 85 degrees or 85 degrees centigrade, my light comes on, and it's not even anywhere near close to, you know, the red situation, and you know, it only happens after I've driven, you know, like about 10 miles, and I was just wondering, you know, do I have to replace my coolant or my thermostat or whatever? Could it just be that?
Now, so what I'm hearing is that the gauge is in the normal range. However, the light is indicating to you that there's a problem, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, what does that light represent? Is a light an overheating or hot light, or is it a coolant level light, which doesn't have anything to do with temperature necessarily?
No, I think it's just the level. I mean, it doesn't get up anywhere past 85 or anything.
Okay.
You know, so I thought, well, shoot, maybe, you know, it's the coolant.
Okay.
You know, or and I looked, and it looks like I have enough coolant.
Right, and if you don't have any leaks, you very well may have enough coolant. And so what happens on those, there's a couple different lights, and sometimes they work in conjunction with the gauge, and sometimes they don't. So what you have in your coolant bottle, there's the recovery tank on the, they call it a degas bottle or expansion tank, where you add the coolant on that car. You probably don't add it directly to the radiator. There should be a coolant level sensor in there, which is just a float with a magnetic switch on it. Oftentimes what happens is that float is no longer buoyant. So it's not floating in the water, it just sinks down, turns on the light, and tricks you into thinking, you know, it's just a sensor and he's not telling the story. He's just the messenger. He's just got bad information because the float is sunk. That's one possibility, and probably the most likely based on your description. The other one is sometimes we have a temperature gauge in a car, and then we might have a warning light that tells you the car is overheating. Sometimes those don't work off the same sensor. You might have a coolant temperature sensor for the gauge alone, and then you might have a coolant temperature sensor that the engine control computer uses, and then that maybe control goes to a body control module, which controls the light. So we don't really know. It varies within every manufacturer, and every car could be different. So there's a lot of things that can cause that. Tim, any other things on coolant leaks?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a slight coolant leak. He says it only happens after he drives for like 10 miles. So when the car gets warmed up, maybe he's got a small leak, and maybe it's just a little bit low. It's, you know.
Well, I said it looked like it had plenty of coolant in it, but you know, these cooling systems at times can be tricky. You have to stop and slow down, and the littlest things can cause an overheating problem. I mean, we're fighting an overheating problem on a car at the shop, and we found someone put an aftermarket thermostat in this Chevrolet engine, which you do all the time. This particular design, the thermostat's just slightly different, so it doesn't allow the water flow. We've been chasing our tails over this problem on a car that has a brand new part. It just didn't work on this particular car, even though the catalog is right and everything else. So little things, the little shield, you know, that little 2-inch little black spoiler that we always tear off the bottom of the lower cover when we're pulling into the parking spaces, that can make a big difference on whether or not the car runs hot, overheats. Maybe it puts it on the margin certain times of the year, and other times of the year it's fine. So we'll be back shortly talking about anything you want to talk about your car. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, oh yeah, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
In life, there are certain relationships outside of family and friends that are important. For instance, if your car breaks down, you want to have a relationship with an auto repair shop that you trust to repair your car. The same goes for your doctor, your accountant, and your attorney. Why? Because the services they provide involve health and financial decisions, and it's important to hire a trusted professional. This same principle applies to real estate. Hi, I'm Lisa Henry with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty. For most of us, our home is the largest financial commitment and asset we will own in our lifetime. So when you decide to sell, it's important to hire a professional, knowledgeable real estate agent that you can trust to represent your interests and provide the best customer service available. If you would like a consultation to help determine the value and discuss a comprehensive marketing plan to sell your home, please visit my website at lisareneehenry.com. That's Lisa Renee, R-E-N-E-E, Henry.com. Come experience the difference a great real estate agent can make.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20+ years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
KTAR-FM, Glendale, Phoenix. KTAR News on 92.3 FM, Arizona's news station. KTAR, on air, 92.3 FM, online at KTAR.com, and streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News Time, 11:30. I'm Mike Sackley. Arizona votes at a fundraiser last night. Hillary Clinton lumped half of Donald Trump supporters into a basket of deplorables. Today, a retraction from the Democratic nominee. She says she regrets saying that, and many are hardworking Americans. Trump's running mate Mike Pence fired back today during a speech in Washington, D.C., saying that Trump supporters are not a basket of anything and deserve respect. Well, Yosemite National Park's largest expansion in 70 years may violate U.S. law, according to a congressman.
Congressman Ron Bishop, a Utah Republican, says Yosemite National Park violated federal law when it added 400 acres to its boundary limits without getting the okay from Congress. Bishop, who chairs the House Natural Resources Committee, told the Associated Press that the National Park Service acted outside of its authority. Federal law says Congress needs to approve land added to a national park that is over 200 acres and worth more than $750,000. Park officials say Bishop is misinterpreting the law. Dave Schreiber, ABC News.
Now let's check on traffic in the RMAGold.com Traffic Center. Here's Mike Daniels.
Well, thanks, Mike. Loop 101 northbound remains closed right between Indian Bend and Shea Boulevard due to the paving project that's underway there. Also, the on-ramps closed on Loop 101 northbound at Chaparral and McDonald. All these closures in effect till 5 a.m. Monday morning. This report brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Are you retiring too early? Contact Trajan Wealth to help determine the optimal time to retire. Text the word retire to 411-923. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
On our way to 105 for today with partly cloudy skies, clear tonight, a low of 82, and sunny tomorrow, the high 104. Right now in Gilbert, 96 degrees. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. Matt and Dave, KTAR's Car Guys on Bumper to Bumper are back with you next. I'm Mike Sackley on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Arizona, an amazing state for outdoor recreation and exploration. Full of mountains, lakes, streams, forests, and of course, our beautiful deserts. Hunting, fishing, camping. If it's about the outdoors, we've got it covered. KTAR invites you to Get Outdoors with Mike Russell today at noon. KTAR News on 92.3 FM and on every device with the KTAR app.
Hi, this is Lori Grenier. You've seen me on Shark Tank. One obstacle many small businesses face is that getting the capital they need can be a difficult task. That's where Cabbage comes in. Cabbage provides simple, flexible access to a line of credit up to $100,000. They have helped 80,000 businesses with over $2 billion in funding. Go to Cabbage.com or call 888-CABBAGE. You'll get a decision in minutes and can start using your funds immediately. Access your line from a phone or computer and only pay for what you take. Make Cabbage your first resort for business funding.
Good friends, good golf, all for a great cause. It's Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's 5th annual Fall Frolic, Saturday, September 24th at the legendary Arizona Biltmore Golf Club. Come join us as we celebrate the beginning of fall with our 2-person scramble benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital. It's a fantastic day of fun, food, golf, and prizes on the beautiful Adobe course, all for just $89. A great value. You even receive a free coupon for a second round of golf. Space is limited. Register today at bunkergolf.com. That's bunkergolf.com.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and bumper-to-bumper radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Well, if there's a big old pile of fluid sitting underneath your car, you might want to be listening today. Or every Saturday is what you ought to be doing is tuning in to KTAR at 11 o'clock to listen to us, Bumper to Bumper Radio. I'm Matt Allen. Dave Riccio is off today, enjoying some last into the summer vacation. Tim Nelson from Virginia Auto Service, one of the Bumper to Bumper shops, is in helping out and chatting with us, right, Tim?
Yeah, just here this morning, making sure everything is good. And if you have any leaks underneath that car, just give us a call, and we can help you out this morning.
If you would like to participate in the show, you can. I mean, it doesn't have to be about a leak. Like I say, we're here to help you with. I mean, the show's for you, so it's what you want to talk about with your car or whatever you need help with. 602-277-5827. If you like to text, you can do that at 411-923. And let's see. Today is the 5-year anniversary of the show. Started. Dave is not here. He stood me up on our anniversary, so I'm going to stand him up next week. So I guess we'll have to wait another week to have a party. And next week, hopefully, we'll have an update for you on our Bumper to Bumper Radio Summer of Love promotion that we did in conjunction with Phoenix Children's Hospital and the station's Radiothon. I think we met our goal. We were striving for $15,000. So thanks to the listeners and the customers and all the Bumper to Bumper Radio shops that, by the way, you can find at bumper2bumperradio.com. So back to business. Fluid leaks. Got one underneath the car. Maybe you get the phone call. The shop says, hey, you're looking at your car and got this oil leak. Oh, I don't see anything on the ground. Tim, we talked about a couple of the other leaks that you may not see because you have a shield underneath the car and it's capturing the fluid. Or maybe you've got the water that's dripping out of the water pump but it evaporates and we just see this crystallized trail coming down. So you're not going to see that drip on the ground. The other one that I was thinking of, call people a lot and say, your spark plug tube seals are leaking. What? spark plugs don't leak. They don't have any fluid in them. Of course they don't. What we're talking about is there's on many cars, take a Honda or a Hemi. That's really where, the Hemi type engine, where the spark plug goes down the center of the cylinder on either side of the valve. Well, you have to have a tube, and it has to go down through the valve cover, and it's really hard to explain over the radio, but there's just a tube that where the spark plug is down maybe 4 or 5 inches inside this tube with the spark plug wire. Well, the seal inside of those leaks on the valve cover and fills that tube with oil. You'll never see that on the ground. And to fill that tube with oil, we're only talking maybe 2 or 3, 4 ounces. If that, then what happens, that oil gets on the spark plugs, causes the car to have a misfire. So, and when it's easy on certain cars, when it's in the shop, we just pop off a spark plug wire and see if there's any oil down in the tube. So that's an example of one leak that you may not see. So we're going to get to the phones because Mike has been holding for 25 minutes, and he's extremely patient. And Doc, you are next. Mike, what can we help you with on your Xterra? Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All righty, there you are. What's up today?
I'm glad. And that spark tube, that's on my son's car, and I was trying to figure out what was going on with that. So you answered that one. Good.
Cool.
I have a 2004 Xterra, 165,000 miles. It's a 4x4 with a 3.3 motor. I recently got back from up north, drove great, got in it the next morning, nothing. Starter went out. Got that fixed, put a new battery in it. Been in there for about 3 months. I was leaving a job the other day and went to start it, and I had a bad whine noise and nothing.
It just didn't start?
Nope, nothing. And we jumped it. I thought, well, maybe a light was on or something, and it drained the battery.
Now you said you had a whine noise. So when you hit the key, is that when you got that like that?
No, it started to turn over, but I had it whined, kind of like, I don't know.
Well,
metal, not a squeal so much as just kind of like and then
so a metallic grind, perhaps.
Yeah.
And what happened with the first starter? Similar circumstance, or did it simply gave up the ghost?
Just
work?
Stopped.
Okay.
I got back from up north and went out to get in it the next morning, turned the key, and nothing.
Okay.
Took it in, took the starter out and had it checked. It was dead.
Okay.
Replaced it. Replaced the battery. It was time.
Here's what I'm thinking. So the only thing we changed in there is the starter. So first I want to make sure that you had a quality starter put in. In a Nissan, I would have used a Nippon Denso or a Bosch. Tim, what would you have used in that car at the shop?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the way to go with a Nippon Denso or a Bosch starter.
Okay. And then, but what I'm thinking you have here, at first I thought you said whine, and I thought, okay, there's two things that happen when you start the car. You turn the key, the starter motor has to rotate and engage with the engine. It's got to get some gears to line up, and then it engages with the flywheel and turns the engine over. Well, first we have to engage that gear. It has to almost happen simultaneously. So you have to have a Bendix, or you have to have something that pushes the gear out, and then that will engage, and then it starts to rotate. You could possibly have a problem where the Bendix is not pushing the gear out, and you're simply just getting the rotation of the starter, which would give you a noise, just a motor that's rotating and not doing anything. Then you said more of a grind. So that gear, again, has to mesh with the flywheel or the gear of the engine. So likely what you should do, you need to remove the starter more than likely and very closely examine the gears or the teeth on the gears and see if they're not chewed up. And then you may have to do the same thing to the engine. You've got a very small window where the starter comes out where you can see the flywheel. Or there might be an inspection plate, and you have to rotate the engine around and make sure that each and every one of those teeth on that flywheel is in good shape. You very well could just be, you might take the starter out right now, pull the starter out and look, and you might be on a dead spot where the teeth are ground off on the or on the flywheel. So you need to make sure you have the right starter and a good starter. If it was just kind of the white box, cheapest one they had at one of the auto parts stores, that may not be the best one. Go back and talk to them about a better, higher quality starter, and I think you're going to find your solution in there somewhere. So thanks for the call, Mike. Doc from Casa Grande has got a GMC Sierra. What's up, Doc?
Oh, I hear that all the time. Congratulations on your 5th anniversary.
Thank
you. You're welcome. I've got a 05 GMC Sierra that's got a random misfire in cylinder number 1, which is real bad, and a somewhat random misfire in number 3. Now, I have pulled the power supply to the coils and had no appreciable difference in the way that it fires.
Now, when you say pulled the power supply, you mean you lift the coil? You lift the coil off, and then we're looking for a big hot spark out of the coil?
No. Well, I pulled the coil wire off too to see if I got a spark coming out of the coil. But the power supply going to the coil.
The 12-volt
pigtail.
Supply. Okay.
Right. I pulled the pigtail off, and I still got no appreciable change in the way that it fired. So I did a compression check on those two cylinders, and they're good.
Okay.
Somebody told me once that, well, you may have a bad injector. Well, I changed the injector on number 1 with no change, and I pulled the spark plug, and, of course, the spark plug is wet when it misfires.
Right.
And I am kind of at wit's end right now.
Okay. So here's what we need to do for the, do you have some sort of scan tool or something that you're using to detect the misfire, like a code reader or something?
Not just a traditional code reader, but I had to put in the VIN number, the year model.
Sure, but I mean, how do you know that there's a misfire? Is my question. Are you retrieving a code from the computer somehow, like the P0301?
No, it's well, that too. That's the old cheap ones I'm talking about. It's showing the firing percentages of each cylinder.
Okay. Well, so my question was mainly to make sure you had some sort of scan tool so that you can follow the misfire. So sometimes the quickest, cheapest, easiest way to diagnose that is to take the coil off of the cylinders that you're having problems with, 1 and 3, and let's just move those over to the other side of the engine. Let's move them over to 2 and 4. Or wherever, and then let's see if the problem follows the move of the coils. If it does, we have a coil problem. There could be a number of different things. Fuel injectors can cause it. You said you did have good compression on the cylinders. I don't know we didn't get what the number was. I'm assuming good means they were consistent with the other ones. So you might want to check. If you got them on 1 and 3, check 5 and 7 too. The other thing that we could have an intake manifold gasket leaking air, which is not too uncommon on that particular car. So a number of different things. We just need to narrow down to the cylinders. If you want to, and the other thing, make sure you have good spark plugs. You probably want an AC Delco or a Bosch spark plug in that truck. Don't go buy the cheap spark plug. And
well, you said he changed that one injector, so I think the coil swap. I think that's where you might be looking at.
Yeah, it's getting fuel.
It's common too.
It's common, and then the other thing is what do those have in common? Is there something? If you look at a wiring diagram, is the driver circuit drive 1 and 3, and 5 and 7, and 2 and 4, 6 and 8? You could have something that's affecting both cylinders. So you're going to have to do a little bit of diagnosis there, Doc, and maybe you can follow up and let us know what happens. We're going to sneak in Jeremy from Glendale here real quick. He's been very patient on his Kia Sedona. Jeremy, how can we help you today?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. My wife and I are trying to decide when to abandon hope on this vehicle.
Okay.
We've put in $3,000 worth of work this year alone.
Okay.
Timing belts, coolant hoses. We replaced both front axles. And we look up the Blue Book value, and it's only about $1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, can you give me some insight on the reputation of this? Is it just something I'm going to keep pumping money into, or does it have potential once I replace enough?
Well, it depends. How many miles are in this vehicle?
70,000.
70,000. It's got low mileage, so it sounds, some of the work you said you did, that's just strictly preventative maintenance, and you're going to have to do that on any car. The Kias in the 2004 model range are not the Kias that they are today. They have made huge improvements over the years. So what I'm going to suggest that you do, when we have information, when we have knowledge, we can make good decisions, right? So if we're in the business of buying and selling cars, it absolutely does not make sense to fix a car that is not worth what you're going to what the value is to sell it. If it's worth $1,500, why would you put $3,000 into it to fix it, right? It doesn't make sense from that standpoint of a profit and loss statement. If you have to use that car and enjoy the car, That's where the value comes in. If you say, I put $3,000 into my car, is it worth it? Well, if you had to take that $3,000 and go buy something else, I don't think you could buy a van as good as yours for $3,000, or 3 plus $1,500, $4,500. I always tell people, if you're going to buy a $4,500, if you have $4,500 to spend on your car, you better buy a $3,500 car, because I guarantee you it's got problems. It's got other things. So, Jeremy, what I think the best thing for you to do, gather all your receipts. You want to put any information you have about your car, anything you've spent money on, build a file like an attorney has on a case, chronological order, everything. Put that together, maybe highlight the dates and some of the items that were done. Take that to your shop. If you don't have a shop, you're in Glendale, Dave's Car Care, 51st Avenue in Peoria. Guy's been there 35 years on the corner. Go in there or go to your shop if you have a shop and say, here's everything I've done on my car. I would like an inspection. I want you to tell me everything that is wrong with this car. Nitpick it. And then let's talk about prioritizing all those things and then give me some estimates. And then from there you can decide, is it time to bail? Or maybe, hey, I did the time belt, my brakes are good, and I'm just going to make a decision. If the AC craps out in this thing, I'm done. I'm bailing when it gets hot, and I'm going to start having my funds for my new car. But you can't do anything until you know everything about the car. And tell them, I want you to offend me. I want to know this thing's a piece of junk. I want to know if it needs struts. I want to know if I should get out of it. I want to know if I should stay in it. But I can't do any of that until I know all there is to know about the car. So, Jeremy, I hope that helps you. We're going to get to Bill, Cecilia, and Chad after this quick break. You're listening to Bumper to Bumper Radio.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, oh yeah, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
This is like classic rock Saturday bumper to bumper radio style or something over here, right? That's not even classic, is it? What the heck is that, Bree? I don't know. She's gonna tell me in a minute. I was thinking something old, then I thought I heard a little bit of Danzig in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we got Thin Lizzy. Don't believe a word.
Thin Lizzy. That's right there for Tim and oh boy. All righty, bumper to bumper radio. I'm Matt Allen. Dave's out hiding out somewhere looking for Dorothy or Toto in Kansas or somewhere like that, checking out a class reunion, I think, with his wife. And maybe he found Dorothy. That's Sita in disguise as Dorothy. So,
and I'm Tim Nelson, and I'm having a great time here today, Matthew Allen.
Tim always likes to come in. He's happy and smiling. If you want to see that happy, smiling face, you can find him at Virginia Auto Service. But, again, every Saturday we're here to help you with your car. Today's the 5-year anniversary of the show, and I was stiffed by my work wife. He is the wife in the relationship, by the way. Carrie's like, I'm not going there. So anyway, Chad in Tonopah has got some sort of problem probably with his 99 Dodge Ram. Chad, what's going on
Yes,
today?
sir.
What's up?
Well, congratulations on the 5-year.
Thank you.
You betcha. Got this 5.2. Runs fine when it's cold. Once you get it up to temp, it'll run fine while you're driving down the road. As soon as you slow down for a stop or a turn, it'll die.
Just dies, huh?
Just dies. It's like it's losing all throttle position on it whatsoever. Change the IAC, the TPS, cap rotor wires, ignition pickup. So
what happens when you try to restart it?
It'll restart after a while, but it's acting like it's starving fuel. Have replaced the pump and all of that. But it will refire eventually, but when you go to put it into gear, it's not a happy camper. It's like it's not holding up
like it's
RPMs.
Like it's misfiring even when you put it in gear after it restarts. It just isn't liking it.
Yeah, it's not even misfiring. It'll just die.
Okay. Well, did you say you priced the fuel pump? So I'm assuming you've checked the fuel pressure.
Yes,
Yeah.
holding a steady 50, 55.
Okay. And I don't know what the spec is supposed to be, but if that's what it should be, that's good. Before you started telling me the things that you did, I wanted to start. I was going to say, wow, maybe it's got a big vacuum leak. You can cruise down the road. It's not worried about vacuum at that point. You come to a stop, which means you're letting off the throttle. It's going to shut the fuel off to the engine. Then it takes this big gulp of air that is not, it's a big vacuum leak. So I was thinking that at first. Maybe not, based on what you're telling me now. Possibility of a dirty throttle body completely choking off the air to the engine. Not likely on that car. I have seen a lot of those. We've got beaten up a lot. We see a lot of PCMs or engine computers on these Dodge Rams. They're hard to even find sometimes. They're always on back order. They fail a lot. Even you get one sometimes rebuilt, remanufactured from the Dodge dealer, and it's no good out of the box. So we're going to have to get in and do some real pinpoint testing and diagnosis on that one, Chad. I mean, it's just one of those things. Someone's got to get in there, erase everything that they know what you did, start, double check all your work, and just start from zero and see what happens. So I think you got a bit of a challenge ahead of you, but maybe someone will get to it, and you can find it. If you don't have a shop, sounds like you're a bit of a do-it-yourselfer, but it might be time to see an expert on this one, and you can find those guys at bumpertobumperradio.com. Cecilia has got a Buick LeSabre all the way from Eloy.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm working on the yard and working on the bedroom, putting on some tile, and and then I heard the radio, and I was wanting to get in for a while. But anyway, this is what's going on. I had the oil changed about 3 weeks ago, and now there's this little light that comes on that says change oil soon, or change oil now, or something.
Right. Piece of cake. That one's easy, Cecilia, and I think this happens more common than we think, and unfortunately it happens to the best shops too. And what happened is your car has an oil life monitor on it, and it counts down from 100%. And there's a computer program in the computer on the car. I guess that's where a computer program would be, in the computer, right? Makes sense. But anyway, so there's some programming that takes all kinds of data, what the temperature was of the car when you started it, how long you drove it for, did you reach operating temperature, and based on this mapping and all these different driving conditions, it's going to start to count down and calculate when your oil needs to be changed. We were all taught 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles, whatever it was. Well, the problem is that Buick maybe would go, based on your driving conditions, maybe it would go 6,400 miles on an oil change. Well, the first guy changes it at 3, the light was never on. Second guy comes in, now he does the next oil change 3,000 miles later, and the light still doesn't come on. 400 miles later, the light comes on. The car doesn't know you changed the oil. You have to tell it. So all you have to do is just go back to the shop that changed the oil, say, hey, my light came on. I think you guys didn't reset it. And I think that happens. I know it happens to us, unfortunately, sometimes. You have to get in the habit of resetting the light even though it didn't come on. So hope that helps you. We're going to stick with the Buick theme and go with Tia very quickly in Mesa. Tia, how can we help you today?
My daughter has the car actually, and we only had it for probably not even a month yet. And when you start it, it sounds like it's out of oil, and it's not.
Okay, so it's just rattling, making a bunch of clicking noise?
Yes.
A lot of miles on the car?
She just turned it into 96,100, something like that.
Okay. Tia, what I'm going to suggest you do, first we need to find out if it's really an engine noise. We're checking the oil because that's what we think we got a problem with the engine. You could have a belt tension or a water pump, an alternator bearing or something like that. I'd like you to go to bumper-to-bumper-radio.com. You're going to find two shops in Mesa, Mesa Auto Works and Accurate Automotive. One of those guys can help you. And let's find out, really, we got to drill that down and find out what the problem is. You very well may not have an engine problem. I think nature, we just think we want to go to the worst case. So thanks for the call. Thanks for everybody who has supported us over the last 5 years. We're looking to 5 more years to come at least. And we're here every Saturday to help you with your car. And tomorrow, to another special day, 9/11. Let's keep New York and all the people that were victims of 9/11 in our thoughts, and never forget, right? So we'll see you next Saturday. Matt Allen, Bumper to Bumper Radio.